He fell asleep in New Jersey before the bombs hit the ground. Broadcasting from a bomb shelter, he is the nuclear clown. So, the Expendables is what I'm going to be talking about with you today. And for those of you who don't know, The Expendables is a movie starring everyone. It's got Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, Jet Li, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Charlie Chaplin, Marlon Brando, just everyone. Judy Garland makes a cameo appearance and kicks Sylvester Stallone in the balls. And pretty much everyone is in this movie. Jeff Speakman, The Perfect Weapon, and Cynthia Rothrock of China O'Brien fame is also in this movie. She plays a love interest. Well, a lot of what I said isn't true. But yeah, you don't know who Cynthia Rothrock is? Well, all right. I understand I'm an old piece of garbage. But when I was a teenager, and they used to give these horrible HBO action movies, like the China O'Brien series or something, and it was about some girl who did karate. That's all. That's it. Sorry. Yeah. So the Expendables came out, and it's all these action stars running around shooting things, and I personally have been really excited for this movie, and I saw it. And I did enjoy it. I had a good time with this movie. Was it it certainly wasn't a sterling masterpiece, and it certainly didn't pull at the heartstrings or anything like that. But you know, it's an action movie. When you see, when I go into a movie, I already have kind of expectations. Going in to see this, I wasn't expecting a fantastic story. I was not expecting award-winning acting. And if you were, and you saw this and you were disappointed, I think it's kind of unfair on your part. These guys are action stars, you know. Sylvester Stallone is not particularly known for his acting ability. And, you know, like, he does a good enough job in most movies. You know, it's action movies. People, I think that a lot of the reviews that I've read and seen on this are being very, very harsh and critical about it, and to me, for silly reasons. I think The Expendables isn't a fantastic movie. No, it's not. I don't think it claims to be. I don't think it presents itself as such. It's a fun action movie starring a bunch of people you grew up watching in action movies all together, kind of like a WrestleMania, if you will, of testicles, and it does exactly what it says it's going to do, and I really don't have a problem with it. I mean, there are some things I thought that would have made it a better story, and yes, a lot of the acting was kind of bad. Randy Couture is a terrible actor. There was a lot of like strange dialogue and one-word conversations back and forth between these guys, which is supposed to carry some kind of humor to it, but really there's not a lot of acting ability. Jet Li can hardly speak fucking English, and hey, Sylvester Stallone can hardly speak English. So, and you know, so I guess what I'm saying is, you know exactly what this is going to be before you don't even have to go see it. If you watch a preview, it is what it is, and I think that I was not disappointed, and I wasn't blown away. I got exactly what I wanted. So if you kind of go into a movie and it's not horrible, and you get what you expected to get, I can't give it a bad review. It actually inspired me to work on my own screenplay. You see, I write screenplays on the side, and I'm currently selling this to Hollywood, but it's amazing. It's gathering all of the great fat people in history. It'll star myself, John Goodman, Dom DeLuise, Yokozuna, Henry VIII, right? And it's going to be called The Expendables, with the tagline of, "You say the buffet's closed, we say otherwise." So look for that. That's definitely coming to a theater near you, or it won't. Anytime soon, or ever. So, yeah, that's my spoiler-free review of The Expendables. Now, I'm gonna start spoiling a whole bunch of stuff. Well, I guess not really. How can you spoil an action movie? Hey, guess what? The bad guy gets shot at the end. Um, some things. I thought that the whole Dolph Lundgren character, with him sort of turning on them and going and joining the bad guys for a little bit and having his drug problem, was pretty neat. Right from the start, there's kind of dissension among them, and I thought that it was a little bit of extra added storyline that I wasn't really expecting from a movie like this. However, I think they could have really gone more in depth about his drug problem, because when you first see him and they're first having their little lovers quarrel at the beginning, it's not because he's messed up on a mission. It's because he's trying to, he's gonna execute some pirate and they don't want him to, but he's gonna do it anyway, so they fight or whatever, and they have to subdue him and crap like that, and it's tension stuff. I think it would have been better if they kind of showed him, like they're flying into the mission or whatever, they're flying out of the mission, and he's just sitting there with just guns and ammo and knives on the floor and just like, bullets everywhere and just like a bag of cash for their mission, and he's like huddled in a corner doing heroin or something. I mean, they never go into detail about his drug addiction. They just kind of allude to it. Like, he shows back up and he's like, hey, I want to get on the mission. And Sylvester Stallone's like, no, you're messed up. You're still on junk. And I was like, did I miss something? I certainly didn't have a diarrhea attack like I had at Predators and missed any of this. I was here for the whole thing. So I thought that kind of came out of nowhere, and they really could have like made that character a bit more sympathetic by kind of showing him in the grips of this drug. You're just supposed to say, all right, he's a drug addict because they said so. And I think that it would have been better for the story and his character, and it would have added some complexity and some drama if they actually showed him doing the stuff. But, again, it's an action movie. I always kind of come back to that. Whenever I start nitpicking a movie like this, it's an action movie. And nobody's ever going to say it's anything more than an action movie. So I don't have a problem with that. If somebody says, oh, the Expendables it's sending a message, it's telling a deep and multi-layered story, I call bullshit on that, and I will argue it to the death. I was kind of under the assumption that it's these mercenary guys, and they're going on like a suicide mission where there's no coming back, and they're just going to go and give the bad guys hell and blow as many people up as they can, and then they die. And there's something beautiful and artistic when you bring up a story like that and you follow through. And like, I would have liked to see where they go on this suicide mission, they know they're on a suicide mission, and they die in the suicide mission. I didn't have a problem with the ending either. I thought, I mean, Dolph Lundgren, he betrays them, right? And he sells them out. And then he fights against them, and then they shoot him, and they make it look like he dies, like he's laying there dying. And then the movie goes on, and then at the end, they're all hanging around, drinking beer, or whatever, bullshitting, and then the camera turns, and Dolph Lundgren's there, and he's like patched up, and they're all fine again, and they're all buddies again, and the nitpicking bastard inside me just wants to stand up and scream how much bullshit that is. But it was like a feel-good moment, and I can't remember the last time I had one of those watching a movie where it's like, yeah, it's just these guys are just hanging out and they're bullshitting, and yeah, we shot you and you tried to kill us, but you were one of us before and you'll always be one of us, and what the fuck? It's a movie. You ever see Don Juan DeMarco at the end when Marlon Brando's like, and was the girl he was looking for this whole time on the island? Sure, why not? If you haven't seen the movie, I'm sorry, that made no sense. But I felt that way too. Like, you know what? That didn't make sense, but it feels good, and I'm never like that. With movies, I'm always like, listen, I know that people want a happy ending, but that was some bullshit. But for the Expendables, I don't know. I just like that. I like the movie. Actually, I will nitpick one thing. Jason Statham's whole mini side plot with the girl, he comes back from the mission and the girl's fucking some other guy. And And then, like, he's a bad guy, so he goes off with a mean face. Oh, she dumped me, she dumped me. And then, of course, later on in the movie, the guy she's with hits her, so Jason Statham has to go beat him up. And then that's kind of it. Then, like, movie continues, and that's it. That whole shit should have been... I mean, they just could have gotten rid of that whole thing. Both those scenes did not have to be in this movie at all. I don't know why you're watching me review this movie, because you already know if you're going to like it or not. I mean, if you're going to lay down money for a movie like this and you've seen previews of it, you know what you're going to get, and you'll have a good time. I know I did, and be on the lookout for the Expendables coming soon.